Previously on Naughty Guys.
Are you guys ready to see something no one has seen yet? Project America.
So what you guys do exactly? So you never get to go home.
I hope not.
From a small trailer boat to an aircraft carrier.
The only marine electronics company that operates in both spaces in such scale?
Yeah.
250 awards.
I think this actually is one of the first fish finders that we produced.
Hold on. What?
It's coming to life. So your equipment can go to hell and back and actually still work.
Hopefully not, but wow.
This is basically a large commercial bridge.
Can we still upgrade or?
There's a stigma that we are more expensive than everybody else and that we're more difficult to use. And years ago, that was true.
We were pretty surprised actually how affordable it was for the type of equipment we're getting.
What we call light marine, which is the leisure market.
So you're telling us we're a bit light?
Good, I like to be the light.
You do? I thought you liked to be full displacement. There's no rivalry in between the two departments?
I wouldn't say that. They do what some people call smart logistics, which I call dumb logistics.
Not calling any names.
You know how many layouts we've had since 1978, since Furuno USA started?
Yeah.
Zero.
Wow.
You were in Air Force?
I was Air Force. A lot of the techs that we hire will have military electronic experience.
So size matters.
Size does matter when it comes to the radar arrays. If you don't learn something today, you're not doing your job.
Where are the shopping carts?
Yeah.
You cannot take anything home with you today.
He does not read manuals or does not.
Wow, this is my shock face.
Wow, look at this.
Voyage data recorder, or VDR is what we call it.
That's cool.
I can show you our gym if you want to see that too.
You have a gym and you've got a movie studio. And all these things about Furuno we did not know.
We've been invited by Furuno Electronics to come check out their brand new, groundbreaking navigation technology.
We wanted to show you a little bit of the equipment that you are going to have on the boat. Let's start with the antenna here and what they're doing for the radar.
Yeah, sure. This is our DRS-25 NXT radar. It's an open array radar. What that means is that the antenna is exposed, and the reason why you want to do that with any radar system typically, one is the longer the array, the tighter the horizontal beam width you can achieve with the radar system itself. Say you're approaching a channel or a harbor opening with some entrance buoys at say 3 or 4 miles with a smaller dome radar like this, which has a much wider field of view. You may not be able to separate 2 buoys from one another, or a tug and tow, or 2 vessels that are close together. However, with the larger open array, you can do that. And the second reason, it just has a much tighter horizontal beam width, so you'll be able to separate targets at much longer distances.
I think I know what the second reason is.
Go ahead.
You look like a super yacht.
that reason.
But is ours going to be, is it going to be this big?
Yeah.
This is
Yes,
Oh, this is exactly ours?
exactly it. And they'll have 2 of these on there.
2 of them.
Two of these?
Stay behind it for a second.
What, did you say 2?
No, behind. Stay
You
behind
said
it.
2 of these. No, I'm serious.
Just some scale.
This larger array is able to focus the energy additionally. So when it focuses the energy, you gain 2 things. You do gain a much tighter horizontal beam width, so much higher resolution as the radar sweeps around. And most of the equipment in here is all based on reflections, so you're trying to bounce a signal off a weak target a lot of times at long distances. And if you can focus that energy coming out of the array and put more target on a single point out in space, you're much more likely to get a return echo on it.
So, for example, like what would be the size on an aircraft carrier?
Well, I know from personal experience, I flew onto the Nimitz and put a 6-foot array, actually 6.5 feet. It's more of a higher end commercial radar.
So we have like an aircraft carrier equipment on our boat.
Most aircraft carriers in the world, in the United States anyway,
you have a
have
landing
in fact,
pad that you
have
can-
Furuno radars, yeah. And I've actually been on a couple of them.
Yeah, seems reasonable to me. What else do we have?
And then we also have that ridiculous oversized horn that you've ended up with.
It's not oversized.
Have you guys seen the horn that we have in our boat?
No.
It
But
is
I believe it's probably big.
ridiculous.
Really?
And between those 3, I feel like we can properly say it's a super yacht.
You know, the other thing to point out, the technology has changed from magnetron to solid state. And one of the advantages you're going to get with the solid state is that the close-in target resolution is phenomenal. So when you are in a harbor or something and you need to see close-up targets, this thing is going to just nail them like that, and you're going to be.
Never thought of using the radar for like
for
a
close-
close.
Me neither, actually.
Every radar is like a simplex system, like humans are duplex. When we talk with our mouths, we can listen with our ears. That means there's no minimum range. However, with a radar, you're transmitting and listening with the same antenna in most cases. So when you transmit, you have to stop transmitting and quickly switch to listening mode. So that's how these radars work. So they transmit, boop, and then they listen. They're simplex. So with the solid state NXT electronics, we can get much closer range performance and much tighter detection around the vessel. So it's actually really nice.
It all happens a lot quicker.
I
Exactly.
can't wait to try it out actually in real life.
You're going to love it. And additionally, one of the best features of solid state radars is the capability to have Doppler signal processing. With our NXT radar specifically, we can have what's called a target analyzer feature. During that single sweep, it can look and get a Doppler reflection. In other words, it can tell if targets are moving in a single sweep. Old traditional radars can't do that. You have to look at the
see
radar
what's
display
happening.
time
Where is
after
it going?
time.
Yeah.
Sweep after sweep after sweep, and watch the targets move
Yep.
across the display. In this case, our target analyzer paints any threat to us red. And all the targets that are not moving around us stay green. And it's a killer, it's just an unbelievable feature for situational awareness in a single sweep. You can just take a look, see what's going on, and get oriented with the image very quickly.
And the other thing that's cool for you guys is that there's a rain mode on here too.
Yeah.
With this, that well, I know you get no rain down in the Florida or the Bahamas,
Yeah,
right? So
no rain.
don't have to worry about that.
Lots of rain.
None at all.
But as Jeff said, the Doppler, the target analyzer rain mode is a way that we've found, I think only Furuno has it at this time, but we've been able to analyze the return signals in this Doppler signal processing and turn on what we call the rain mode with that. And that allows us to see hard targets within squalls. Normally,
Because it's
X-band
normally
radar,
like it's getting distracted
it gets
from the
washed
rain
out.
and gets washed out.
it gets
I-
washed
I-
out.
I
So you
got it.
only see sometimes
Yeah.
if you're in the middle of a squall, like a red, just red all around you, or red
Yep.
in the middle of a squall. With the target analyzer rain mode, you can actually see hard targets right within the middle of a squall, which is unique.
So
and
it
it's a-
separates it out, the
it's
rain from the actual target.
Absolutely,
That,
yes.
that makes total sense
Yeah.
to me.
You said that was unique to what?
It's unique to Furuno.
Okay, well, we promised you guys a little geeky stuff coming in, so here we go. This is just the beginning because
Just the
there's
beginning.
a lot more to see in a moment.
In theory, I knew how radar works. The Doppler I only heard from the Weather Channel
Right.
before,
Yeah.
so apparently we have that too now.
Right, exactly. You do. Well, this radar will do a fantastic job at actually local and very granular weather. Very local, within 10, 25 miles of own ship. This radar is going to be a fantastic weather radar.
Which
as
that's
well.
what you have in the Caribbean. You
Yeah,
have all
exactly.
these local
Yeah.
little systems
Little
which
squalls.
nobody can forecast really.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah.
super helpful, and we
Yeah.
have two of them, so we
Yeah.
can even
Yeah.
change the
Right. Each radar is
intensity.
capable of dual range, number one, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. So, and you can run them both kind of one on one display and one on the other. So you get 4 different ranges, really long detection, short detection, medium, however you want to set it up. And you can turn rain mode on one of them as well if there's a lot of squalls in
the other
area.
one leave normal.
And leave
Yeah.
the other one normal, exactly.
like.
So if you guys learned something new, put it down in the comments. What did you not know until
Well,
this conversation?
or if you have additional questions, also put it down in the comments. How long usually these units last? Out of your guys' I mean, you guys
that's a
been around for a
fantastic
long
question.
time.
With a traditional magnetron radar, you got about 5,000 hours out of it. This is about 5 times that before you even have to look at it. So maybe 20,000,
So we're probably not gonna
25,000
experience
hours.
that.
Yeah, so you probably will never have to touch or open this radar once you install it. So it's
That is
amazing.
incredible.
yeah.
In addition to the radar, we have the satellite compass too.
The Furuno SCX20, and you can see it's a little shorter than a bread box, maybe about as wide. And the amazing thing about this product is that it's a full-blown GNSS satellite receiver. So it's multi-constellation. It can pick up the GPS satellites, and Galileo satellites, Baidu, GLONASS, all the different constellations that are put up by governments around the world. And the great thing about this product in general is that it doesn't have 1 or 2 GPS receivers. It has 4 full-blown GPS receivers, and what that gives this compass the ability to do is be a full GPS and give you vessel heading at the same time. In case you don't understand what I'm saying, it's heading is different than course
Thanks for
over ground.
acknowledging
Okay?
that. Appreciate it.
No problem. So, heading is the way your vessel's pointed on Earth,
Of course.
right? And you could be being set by wind, waves, or current, and that would be your course over ground, which isn't necessarily the same as the way your
Oh,
boat
okay.
is pointing.
Of course.
So if you're being set, when we look at our MFDs, you can turn on the course over ground line, and then you can turn on a green heading line. And if they're not
Usually,
lined
right,
up,
yeah.
if they deviate, that means you're being pushed by wind, waves, or current. And the great thing about this product is that it's accurate anywhere on Earth to 1 degree. So actually 0.5 degree dynamically and 1 degree statically, which is pretty amazing. And it doesn't have one of the biggest problems that other satellite compasses have that are just 2 antennas, is that a lot of times local multipath interference from other antennas on your boat or any kind of structure can cause problems with other designs. But the SCX20 design using 4 antennas gives us a way to calculate in 6 different ways: across, side to side, and lengthwise, with the 4 different antennas. So
Makes sense.
it's basically infallible. Furuno has actually also won the NMEA Product of Excellence Award for NMEA 2000 sensors for 3 years with this product. Yeah, through the past 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, without fail. So,
So of course we're gonna have that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we sell tons of these things, and I never see them come back. Our failure rate is less than 0.1%.
Wow.
It's also extremely efficient. About 200 milliamps at 9 volts for the NMEA 2000 certified standard, which means it's a 4-len product. So it's really efficient.
Nothing. No
Nothing.
power
Almost
at all.
nothing. 200. Yeah, 2 watts.
Yeah.
2 watts of power.
I think
You can
Eric's
power-
brain works twice the speed of mine.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Trying to keep up.
Yeah.
It's
So-
fast.
Well, that's
The
my
good-
job.
You know
I
what? The good
design
thing
this
is
stuff.
people can pause and go back and rewatch.
And
rewind,
We're gonna have to
yeah.
do the same.
Right, right.
Yeah, just to get it all sink in my head.
So what do they actually use this for, though?
This will provide like the vessel pointing direction to the MFD displays, to the radar, and also heave information to your ultrasonic equipment. If you're in rough weather and the vessel is kind of bobbing in the water, and you're looking at the bottom and navigating in maybe some shallower waters on the west side of Florida, for example, this will give you an accurate representation of the water depth regardless of what the boat is doing. So this has a lot of
never
different
even thought
sensors
about
in it
that,
just
actually.
besides the GPS.
Yeah,
so it'll give you
never
heading
thought of that.
GPS. It also has a barometric pressure sensor in it and a temperature sensor in it as well for
And we can
atmospheric
pull
temperature.
that on. We can
You,
put it
yeah,
on.
you
we
can show it
display
right
that?
on the display. Yes.
We
Yeah.
we can display
Barometric
the pressure.
and temperature,
No
air temperature.
way.
How
Yeah.
cool!
Yeah.
So I can see
So-
if the weather gets better or
Right.
worse.
So you can see if it's like bathing
Help your
suit weather,
predictions.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
Exactly.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So, and you can plot that.
I have
graph
the
that over
Doppler. I
time.
have the pressure. I'm good to go.
Yep.
Let's start our
Okay, but quick question.
our weather channel.
On smaller vessels, would you still install that? Is it necessary, or can you also use the MFD without it?
It can be used, but the nice thing about our smaller MFDs is that they have built-in GPS receivers.
Okay.
So they're not going to give you heading on the smaller MFD alone, but they will give you GPS position, and that's probably on a smaller vessel all you really need on a lot of times. If you wanted to have that smaller vessel be able to track and plot ARPA targets and do more sophisticated navigation techniques, then yeah, you could still install this. It could be pole mounted, and it's a little bit bigger, but it still draws almost no power, and it still sets up just the same way. So it can be used, but probably not necessary in most cases.
Because you actually have it built in now.
That's right.
That's cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, what's
All right.
next?
Well, I think Victoria's favorite subject is transducers.
Oh, really? So you're on the
Can't wait
transducers,
to
huh?
talk about the transducers.
Okay, then give me the camera because now
right.
you're gonna be back up.
All right.
Oh boy,
So I'm going
thanks
to jump
for
over
that,
here.
guys.
Yeah, so we're looking at some
love it.
transducers right here. Yeah, one of the nice things is
Do you
these
know what a
transducers.
transducer is?
No clue.
Okay. One of the most common transducers that you'll see every day is a speaker in your car. That converts electrical energy to sound
okay.
energy.
No, actually, I know what transducer
That's a
is.
transducer.
Okay.
So this is the same thing, but instead of designed to transmit sound into air, we transmit sound into water.
Okay.
So this is an acoustic, sensor that converts the electrical energy from our fish finders and a variety of different kinds of fish finders into acoustic energy or sound energy that we can push into the water. This is the transducer for our DFF 3D multi-beam sonar.
I knew that.
Okay, and that's why you'll see.
Stop.
Yeah, that's why with this transducer in particular, right? You'll see individual bars here, 8 individual bars. Those 8 bars allow us to kind of change the timing that each one of these little bars receives a signal, and we can steer a beam electrically across the bottom of the boat by delaying that time to shift and be able to look and paint a picture across the bottom, which is really useful for gunk holing or navigation in tight water. You are looking for an anchorage perhaps, or you're not sure what's going on with the bottom. This will tell you across the bottom what's going on. So you'll get kind of a 3D picture, and that's why we call it the DFF 3D, across the bottom of the display. Those bars allow us to produce a 120-degree beam with about 3-degree resolution. So each one of these little white lines is the resolution that you can pick up across the bottom of the boat. Now, a traditional, is super wide.
Yeah, so this would be your boat right here.
Yeah, your boat would be right here. And the transducer, if you were to look at it and see what kind of image it is. Now, this transducer is super wide across, but because it's an imaging transducer, it's only 7 degrees fore and aft. This isn't the kind of transducer that you would use to show fish arches as fish swim through the water, because it's too narrow. This transducer, on the other hand, is more of a conical beam transducer. There's 3 different elements, and they're combined to create a kind of a conical beam that comes out.
Like a rain shower head almost?
Yeah, exactly. And that would give you more information on a circular basis around the boat, but the resolution won't be as high. So you'll see targets that are swimming, and you'll see them under the beam for a longer period of time, typically if they're going fore and aft, but you're not going to be able to get individual segments and paint the bottom like you can.
So do we have both?
Yeah, and you're going to have both. That's a great
Okay.
thing. And now the cool thing is a combined transducer that has both the DFF 3D transducer
all in one.
and a 200 kilohertz element and a 50 kilohertz element. And the 200 kilohertz is transmitting at a higher frequency than this one, and this one is right in between. So you have really good shallow water performance with this transducer, much better deeper water performance, and then kind of a medium high resolution side to side performance. So this combo transducer allows you to put a single transducer on the boat and gain the functionality from all 3 different systems.
So Eric, what are these sensors here?
These are redundant temperature sensors. So in each transducer that we make, we always put temperature sensors in the transducers so that we can account for acoustic deviation. So if the water temperature changes, we can actually adjust the performance of the transducer based on the temperature of the water.
Like it automatically happens?
Automatically, yeah. In the software. So we'll do the calculation. So for example, if the water's a warmer temperature, we'll know beam spreading characteristics and different things that happen in warmer water than colder water. And we can compensate the way the system works and shows you information based on that.
So I have heard that your guys' transducers, obviously in conjunction with the rest of the equipment, is so accurate it comes already with a fishing rod. Is that true?
Fishing rod pops out of this one from side? No.
You don't need a fishing rod. You can just catch it with your hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just
They
actually
just
they
jump
jump
right
into
there.
the boat.
Once the fish sense this energy, they jump in.
Just rub it to the boat.
They give up. They give up right away. Yeah.
So one question I know is going to be asked, the boat is steel, right?
Right.
Is there a certain type of material that you need to be using for a steel boat versus a fiberglass boat?
Yeah,
or-
typically.
question.
Yeah, typically, typically on a steel boat, where possible and where it makes sense, actually a poly transducer is probably the best bet. This kind of transducer, which is potted, and we can do that, or a stainless transducer would probably be best with steel as well.
So are we looking now at the chart plotter?
Let's talk about the autopilot first. All right.
Okay.
So you're going to have what's called a Nav Pilot 711C. That's this control.
711?
7-Eleven?
711C, exactly.
Sorry.
That's the right number, isn't it, Jeff? Yeah, exactly. So the nice thing about this system is that it tightly integrates with the MFDs, the multifunction displays, and most of the functionality you can control directly from the MFD. So if you want to plot a course and say, pick up my route and navigate, do some waypoint navigation, you don't actually have to set it up from within this product. You can do it right from the MFD and just say go to.
This is kind of like your standard autopilot.
That's your standard
function,
autopilot. The nice thing about the Furuno Pilot is that it's got a full-blown self-learning mode. It'll auto-tune itself and optimize itself, even for various weather conditions. So if the weather gets a little snotty, gets rough, the internal parameters will automatically learn how to optimize the steering in various weather conditions, sea states.
So you don't have to change the sea state. You don't have to change the attack time or whatever the sensitivity, like what we used to do. Obviously,
You just have weather controls. Yeah. So now this is actually a full self-learning pilot. Especially on your boat, you're never going to have to touch it. Just hit the auto button and let it go.
It's just like, this
See,
is all,
these are all
this is
things
all,
I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
this is all like lazy captain.
No, it's not. Efficient, not lazy.
Actually, dialing in autopilot is kind of a little bit of a black art. This algorithm has actually won a bunch of awards in Japan and in different places around the world, in that it constantly looks at how the performance of the vessel is and really tweaks those parameters that normally you'd have to go in and do manually.
So way
and
less
optimizes-
chance for human error
way
when
less
you're
chance.
setting it
Yeah,
up.
you don't have to mess with it.
Yeah,
Also
it's-
more comfortable for everybody on board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's less steerage potentially, or more when it's required, and so on.
It can increase rudder speed in the following sea, for example, to keep
Yeah.
you from kind of broaching and going, getting across and
Well,
getting a little
especially with a
sideways.
full displacement boat, a
Yes.
heavy boat,
Yes.
where any rudder action causes the boat to heel a little bit.
Right.
So you want to keep that as to the minimum, whatever is needed. You don't want to necessarily go overcompensate constantly and make people seasick.
Does the boat have stabilizers?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the nice thing is, this system will actually typically work with the stabilizers. As the stabilizers come on, they'll tend to do that as well. And sometimes some systems tend to fight, autopilots specifically, tend to fight with the stabilizers. And this system's kind of designed to avoid that. So it should work in harmony.
all the things we didn't know.
Amazing.
So glad we're here.
All right.
So now, drum roll.
So,
Oh, yeah, all right.
drum roll.
Now we come to our...
And we go to a commercial. No, I'm just kidding.
Skip. So we come to our brand new MFD line, and these are the new Furuno TZT-XL MFDs, and we have a 13-inch MFD with an integrated keypad, or what we call it, Jeff, is a
hybrid.
hybrid keypad. The 16-inch, which is an all glass, and the 22 or 24-inch size, which I believe you're getting on your boat.
24.
Yes, 24.
The nice thing is, even though these are all glass displays, there are optional both.
Eric,
portrait-
apparently 22 was just too
not quite
small.
enough.
Not quite enough.
All right,
Yes.
all right. You can actually mix and match these keypads with the larger displays, and we have both portrait and landscape keypads, depending on where you want to mount it. This is actually also nice for maybe an armchair controller if you wanted to do that as well. The user interface, the UI, is identical between the products, so you really don't have to relearn anything. You can jump right into one and switch and go back and forth depending on. A lot of people, typically on a Flybridge or a Tuna Tower, will have a smaller display that fits the console. So that's why it's important to have a lot of different displays. These are also very bright. They work in the rain. They work when they're splashed with water. I have a couple cool videos on that we've released that show you how that works. And they're high res. They're pretty simple to use.
Even if you can't fit a 24 on your boat, or 4 like you guys are, we do have a full range of units that will fit any size boats. We have a 10-inch, which we're not showing here, the 13-inch, we have a 16-inch, the 24, and then in between we have a 22-inch that is a nice size as well. In fact, let's switch over to Mike Janown's boat, who's from Florida Sport Fishing TV. We just installed those on his boat. You guys can take a look at that there.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the usually very sunny Florida Keys. Felt like we needed to get away from that cold Washington State weather and show you guys the real applications. So let's go meet the team. Welcome aboard.
Hey, gentlemen. How are you?
Name of the boat is?
Florida Sport Fishing TV.
That's the name of the boat?
That's right.
That's the longest boat name I've ever heard.
That's what the name is.
Okay, this is Mike. Mike is the Florida Sport Fishing TV. And this is Tim from Furuno.
Yes.
He said that's all he is, just Tim.
right.
That's it. That's all we're gonna get.
Extra titles here.
So we just got a little sneak peek here, and it is way cooler than in the classroom. We're gonna show you how this works.
It's also a sneak peek to Mike. because,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mike,
Today's the very first time that I've been able to experience the XL software, and it's a game changer. It really is, from the TZT3 that I'm accustomed to.
We were just sharing kind of our backgrounds when we got on board, and just basically saying how we came from sort of different direction. Like you come from a direction that you've been using Furuno for many, many years. That's sort of primer electronics that you're used to, and you kind of looking at it going like, wow, I thought it was already awesome. This is just game changer. And for us, we come from a completely other side, more like we actually haven't used Furuno nearly as much and used almost everything else a lot. We're kind of meeting in the middle going, this is a game changer. Because literally,
different perspectives,
that's what I
right?
said to Jeff in the classroom. I was like, this is a game changer. So Tim, when it comes to this new software, what would you say like the main big changes?
We got a complete new cartography that's going to help from navigators like yourself to fishermen like Mike. That was really important to us. One of the things we get a lot of feedback on is charts. They're always changing. Everybody wants something new. So we entirely refreshed our chart catalog for TZ Touch XL.
One of the biggest things that I'm seeing right out of the gate, before we even dig in, before we go, I see a demo mode button and a tutorial tour, where I could easily, by simply pushing one tab, get clearly the entire demo mode, the whole tutorial. So if there's any question about a learning curve, it's right there at your fingertips. You know, you guys couldn't have made it any easier.
When it came to electronics, I always sort of referred to Rico and I'm like, hey, how do you set this? How do you do the waypoint? And I think I am more tech savvy than he is. I mean, would you say that?
Depends on what it is, but when it comes to computers, yes.
When I was looking at this, at the demo and the tutorial, it's so intuitive. Like,
Absolutely.
You don't really need anyone to teach you if you have some basic phone usage, and you know, it's just so simple.
It really
And
is.
I feel like I don't need him anymore.
Yeah, and you know,
I have to bring a license.
Thanks, Veruno.
you're right that it is super simple and super intuitive. However, just because something's simple doesn't mean it's better, right? In this particular case, I think that Furuno's cracked the code, because it is simple, but they're providing you with all of the parameters and all of the information that you need to make those adjustments on the fly, intuitively, very easily, with the information that you want and need, which is customizable, because what you're looking for is different than what I'm looking for. You're in a yacht, you're cruising the globe, so to speak.
My 6 screens are going to look very different than your 6
Very
screens.
different. No
probably.
question. Yep, no question. So to be able to go into the same network to fully customize it for the way that you boat and fish, that right there is that secret sauce for sure.
All right, show us around.
Okay, let's take a look. So we're
Let's
going to
go.
start by hitting the
Let's
let's go
go.
button. So Rico, I'm going to let you hit it. I let Mike hit it on the other unit, so you get to hit it. Okay, so we're going to come up. You see we're coming up right on a chart plotter screen with radar target overlays. But let's talk about more of the simple features first before we even begin. As you see, Mike is already set up with all the information he likes in his data bar. So just so you guys know, you can throw that on and off the screen at will. But say you have it on the screen and you guys as yacht people don't want the same information Mike has. It's so easy to make changes. If you look down bottom here, we just have an edit button. And if you tap it, you click on add nav data, and there is just nothing you can't add. Everything is there. You can drop it right into your data box. And one of the other cool parts is, let me get rid of that real quick, you have 2 data bars. So right now we're in the data box, and then we have a route bar. If we change screens and go to radar, now if we bring our data bar out, we now have a radar tab. Okay, and we can adjust our gain settings. Generally with a Furuno radar, you can run in auto mode. Do you ever make manual changes to your radar that often, Mike?
Minimal. Auto mode seems to be the sweet spot, especially in the bird mode configuration as well, where in the past we had to go in, right, and make multiple adjustments if we wanted to look for birds,
Right.
which is a huge factor. If you're looking for tuna and offshore game fish, we look for the birds, and we use that radar because your eyes can only see so far. Now we go in, boom, bird mode, done.
Okay, so back onto the data bar. If you want to go to standby, you just hit the button. It's right here on the screen. If you aren't somebody who like heads up mode, you can go to north up mode. It's right there on the screen. You don't have to go into a menu to
Everything
do
is
it.
right there.
It's right there.
You know how much time I've spent in my life already on different electronics to find where can I freaking start transmitting?
Absolutely. And the cool part about these screens is they have edge swipes from all 4 sides.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at that. If we swipe down from the top, and we haven't set Mike's up yet, you see he's got a GPS plotter page, it will save any page you're looking at. So right now we're looking at a radar. We want to make that one of our quick pages, press and hold. Boom, now we have a radar page made that quickly. And so these are what you call the radio buttons. It's just like the radio buttons in your car. And that's what comes down from the top to get you quick access. As you saw from the side is our data boxes, which we can pull on and off at will. If you want to make changes to any screen you're looking at, just swipe up from the bottom. Here's all of our radar information right at our fingertips. As you see, we're in regular mode right now, but if we go to target analyzer mode, all your targets are green except for your threat targets. Your threat targets moving above 3 knots, crossing you, overtaking you, are going to show up as a red target.
Yep.
And that's just quick, good information to help keep you safe. Going a step further, we can also come out from the right-hand side of the screen. Say he's got a buddy who's on a hot fishing spot. He can hit the position entry button, and it's going to bring up a quick way to enter a position. And here's where the find box
Whale
is.
watching. This is our whale watching thing.
So if somebody gives you a position, you can type it in real quick. You simply just type it in. There's your keyboard. And when you get to where you want to go, you can just click find, and it's going to go right out to the chart. It's going to say, boom, that's where you're at. That's where we're going. That's the position we were just given.
If I want to know how far away that is from me, it's even easier.
Absolutely. We just
There it
tap
is.
right on it. There it is.
One touch.
One touch. So right now, this is going to go away after 30 seconds. If we want to save it as a new point, we just click on new point. Boom, it's now saved to our
Or
library. of
immediately, you
points.
can use the go-to function and just put it.
Absolutely.
Let's fish it.
Okay, that's where Mike comes in.
This is really an absolutely awesome feature. It's called Fish It, Drift It. So just as an example, I'm offshore, I want to fish a particular ledge that I want to anchor on or drift over. So I'm going to create a virtual waypoint, right? I'm going to literally go on top of that spot, say I want to fish right here. And of course the wind is in my face from the north, just as an example, and I'm assuming I'm going to drift in one particular direction. But you know as well as I do that we don't know what effect that current and the wind are going to have on our particular vessel. We can assume that we're going to know, but we really don't. So by hitting Fish It, it allows the machine itself over a very brief period, I believe the boat needs to drift 100 feet, and it will then calculate a starting point where all we have to do is position our boat right on that bullseye, and I know that I'm not only going to drift directly over that particular ledge, but I can even set the time parameter, and I can say I want to be on that ledge in 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And again, it will adjust that starting point. Now understand, while it's titled Fish It, Drift It, designed for drifting, it also is absolutely vital for anchoring. Because once again, we know that the wind and the current are going to put our boat in that particular position. We drop the anchor right on that line, and we are set in the perfect position the first time. And let me tell you something, no one likes pulling an anchor and repositioning.
I kind of have to disagree with Mike on one small point of the statement he just made. I kind of get a kick out of this when I have my morning coffee in an anchorage and people have to do exactly that exercise over and over and over. But just me being...
Not when they're doing right next to you and you have to move with your coffee.
Then I'm freaking out a little bit,
then
yeah.
you're like, what are you doing?
Okay, so what else is new? Actually, two new features, and you see we kind of got an alarm bouncing up here called Risk
Yeah.
Visualizer.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and turn Risk Visualizer on. Overlay, Risk Visualizer. You can see we are in a very, very congested area. I mean, there is no denying it. It is about as congested as you could possibly get. None of these boats are moving, but if one does happen to be moving, it's going to show it on the radar as a risk. I don't know, Victoria, you just saw, how would you best describe that? We call it, you know, it looks like a pill icon.
It looks like a pill, like
And
a
it
long,
will-
prolonged oval shape.
And it's going to tell us the area we want to avoid to not have any potential there. Okay,
Oh, there it is. Oh, I just missed it. Oh, Rico just missed
We
it.
just
Yeah.
missed one. So,
Luckily
yes.
we did screen
But
recording.
that's okay. But it tells us the area to avoid to not have any chance of collisions.
But I have a question, like the Risk Visualizer alarm was blinking even though nothing was on the screen. Is it always sort of
It is
on?
always on in the background.
No
always.
way, that's
Yes.
awesome.
It's just actively looking. And as you see, if you look at the screen closely, while none of these targets are moving, you see how we have red targets and we have green targets?
Yeah.
Those are the ones it's most concerned with, and it wants us to keep an eye out for.
I'm just picturing myself navigating in this waterway at night under the cover of darkness in foul weather for the very first time. There are so many targets, it's impossible to track everybody all of the time.
Right.
To have that Risk Visualizer alarm, and we'll call it the avoidance zone,
Right. Yeah.
for that to just jump up, that could save my boat. Because you know what? I trust me behind the wheel. I don't know if I trust everyone else behind the wheel.
One of the other things we're going to show you is going to be AI avoidance. And what that does